Have you ever felt that life isn't truly yours? That invisible forces seem to guide your decisions, your thoughts, even your sense of purpose? What if the world you believe to be real is only a carefully constructed illusion, one designed to keep you obedient, distracted, and unaware of a deeper reality? For centuries, humans have lived under the assumption that the reality presented by religions, governments, and societal norms is complete and unquestionable. But the Gnostics, ancient seekers of hidden truth, suggested otherwise. They believed that there is a hidden reality beyond the material, a truth that has been concealed by those in power, a secret that could free you from the chains that quietly govern your life. Can you imagine that everything you trust the institutions, the stories you were told as a child, even the definition of good and evil might be a surface layer masking something far more profound? This is not speculation. It is a perspective deeply rooted in the teachings uncovered by scholars like Jonas, who dedicated his life to studying Gnostic texts and understanding the nature of human freedom. What if the control you feel over your life is an illusion, and the real liberation lies in discovering what has been hidden for centuries? How would it feel to realize that you have the power to break free from influences that manipulate your soul without you even noticing? Could knowing this hidden knowledge change the way you see yourself, your choices, and the world around you? Throughout history, countless seekers have sensed that there is more to existence than the visible and tangible, that something vital has been deliberately obscured. The Gnostics left behind fragments of this knowledge, warnings that the world, as it appears, is not what it seems. They spoke of forces that obscure truth, of spiritual layers that prevent the human soul from recognizing its divine origin. For those who are ready to question, to look beyond what is comfortable and familiar, the path of discovery begins here. Imagine peeling back the layers of illusion and finally seeing what has always been hidden. How liberating would it be to understand that the world's control over you is not inevitable, that there is a way to reclaim your inner authority? Are you willing to take that first step into a reality where your spirit is no longer confined, where your choices can be informed by hidden knowledge rather than unseen control? In this video, we will explore how Gnosticism, through its mystical and radical perspectives, can illuminate the path to freedom from worldly control. We will uncover how ancient texts, secret symbols, and the ideas preserved by thinkers like Jonas reveal a framework for understanding your life in a completely new way. This is not about abandoning faith, morality, or community. It is about awakening to a deeper truth that exists beneath the surface. As you watch, consider what it would mean for you personally to recognize these hidden layers, to identify the forces that have quietly influenced your life, and to claim a sense of freedom you may have never thought possible. Are you ready to question what you have always accepted as reality? Can you accept that freedom is not given, but discovered through insight and awareness? Before we dive into these revelations, take a moment to reflect. How much of your life is truly your own, and how much has been shaped by patterns you never consciously chose? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Your reflections are part of uncovering this hidden reality. And if you are curious to continue exploring the truths that have been concealed for centuries, make sure to subscribe to this channel. By doing so, you join a growing community of seekers who refuse to settle for the surface of things and are committed to discovering the secrets that can transform their lives. Together, we can explore what Jonas and the Gnostics have revealed about the human soul, the world, and the path to liberation. For thousands of years, humans have sought answers to questions about life, purpose, and the forces that shape our existence. Yet much of the knowledge that could have guided us toward freedom has been obscured, buried beneath layers of doctrine, tradition, and power. The Gnostics believed that the world we see is not the full reality, but a crafted illusion, a trap designed to prevent the soul from remembering its divine origin. They spoke of the demiurge, a force or entity that governs the material world, not out of malice, but out of ignorance, a creator who unintentionally confines human consciousness within limits. Some scholars argue that this concept is not merely symbolic. It is a representation of the systems and structures that subtly control thought, behavior, and belief. Imagine realizing that the discomfort, the fear, and even the sense of limitation you feel are not accidents, but consequences of an invisible architecture that shapes your perception. Have you ever wondered why so many spiritual traditions seem fragmented? Why certain truths appear only in fragments, whispered, or hidden in texts forgotten or condemned? Could it be that knowledge itself has been selectively preserved to guide only a few, leaving the majority unaware of their potential liberation? Historical evidence supports this idea. In the 1940s, the discovery of the Nag Hammadi Library in Egypt revealed a treasure trove of Gnostic writings that had been hidden for centuries. Texts like the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary, and the Apocryphon of John challenge conventional narratives, presenting a vision of the world and humanity radically different from what is commonly taught. These writings describe a universe layered with spiritual realities, where the divine spark within each individual is obscured by ignorance and imposed authority. The Gnostics warned that without understanding, humans remain imprisoned by appearances, unaware of the forces that shape their destiny. Consider this. How much of what you accept as truth has been filtered through centuries of interpretation, omission, or control? How many beliefs do we hold because they were handed down, unquestioned, rather than because they reflect a deeper reality? The suppression of knowledge was not random. Power structures throughout history have relied on control of information to maintain influence over populations. The church, monarchies, and ruling elites often deemed Gnostic texts heretical, labeling them dangerous because they revealed that the human spirit is inherently divine and autonomous. This idea threatened the authority of those who claimed exclusive access to spiritual truth. By burying these teachings, destroying manuscripts, and codifying orthodox doctrine, the dominant powers ensured that most humans remained unaware of their inner potential. Think about your own life. Are there moments when you sense an inner knowing, a truth that seems at odds with what society tells you? That feeling may be the echo of knowledge your soul has always carried, waiting for you to recognize it, waiting for you to awaken. Understanding the methods of concealment helps us recognize their impact today. Even in modern society, the invisible systems that shape thought persist through education, media, and cultural expectations. The Gnostics' warnings remain relevant. Freedom is not just a matter of circumstance. It is a matter of awakening to truths hidden beneath the surface. Hans Jonas, in his studies, emphasized that recognizing these forces is the first step toward reclaiming autonomy. The moment you begin questioning the reality presented to you, you are already participating in a rebellion against the invisible chains. How much of your worldview is genuinely your own, and how much has been subtly imposed upon you? Are you ready to peel back the veil and see the forces that have guided your life without your consent? These questions are not meant to create fear. They are invitations to awareness. By understanding the deliberate concealment of knowledge, you begin to see the world differently, to perceive the hidden patterns that influence belief, behavior, and society. This realization is not abstract. It affects the way you think, choose, and live in every moment. As we continue, we will explore the texts and teachings that reveal how this hidden knowledge points to a path of liberation, a way to reclaim the freedom that has always been your birthright. What would it feel like to step out of the invisible prison built by centuries of suppression and finally see the world and yourself with clarity? To truly understand the Gnostic path to freedom, we must explore the symbols and concepts they used to describe reality. For these are not mere myths. They are keys to perceiving the world in a way that reveals the hidden forces at work. The Gnostics spoke of gnosis, a profound inner knowledge, a direct recognition of the divine spark within each human being. Unlike ordinary learning, gnosis is not accumulated from books or authorities. It is discovered through awareness and reflection. When the Gnostics described the human soul as a spark trapped in the material world, they were illustrating a universal truth The potential for freedom exists inside you, even when the external world seeks to obscure it. Have you ever felt moments of sudden clarity, when something within you seemed to awaken, even if only briefly? That is the spark the Gnostics spoke of, the part of you that knows the truth even when the world insists you forget. Another essential concept is the demiurge, often depicted as a creator or ruler of the material world, but one who is imperfect, blind, or unaware of higher realities. Some scholars interpret the demiurge as a metaphor for the systems, structures, and authorities that constrain human freedom, shaping thought and action according to their own interests. The Gnostics described it as a force that enforces ignorance, masking the true divine nature that resides in all of us. Alongside the demiurge are the archons, rulers or guardians of these layers of reality, preventing the soul from ascending to knowledge and liberation. While these might sound like abstract symbols, they are remarkably concrete in their meaning. They represent the invisible patterns, habits, and influences that quietly dictate how we perceive ourselves and the world. How many decisions do you make without realizing they were shaped by external expectations, inherited beliefs, or cultural pressures? Could these unseen influences be the modern echo of the archons the Gnostics warned about? The divine feminine is another symbol frequently explored in Gnostic texts, representing wisdom, intuition, and the nurturing aspect of consciousness that guides the soul toward knowledge. In many traditions, this principle was deliberately minimized or hidden, yet the Gnostics emphasized that it is essential for understanding the full nature of reality. By reconnecting with this inner wisdom, individuals can begin to see through illusions and reclaim autonomy. Imagine the power of accessing a source of guidance within yourself, one that has always been present but obscured, waiting for recognition. How would it feel to trust a wisdom inside you that transcends external authorities, one that aligns you with your true nature and potential? Symbols in Gnostic teachings are not merely allegorical. They serve as maps for navigating the hidden layers of existence. The Gnostic texts, as studied by Jonas and other scholars, describe these layers in detail, showing that freedom is not given, it is discovered, earned through awareness and insight. Every symbol, every figure, every metaphor points to a reality where the soul is capable of transcending control, where knowledge itself becomes the tool for liberation. The Gnostics encourage seekers to meditate, reflect, and question constantly, to recognize the forces that manipulate perception, and to awaken the divine spark within. What patterns in your own life might be illusions that keep you compliant, fearful, or distracted? Are you ready to begin seeing beyond the surface, to recognize the structures that quietly shape your existence? As we continue, we will move from understanding symbols to identifying who or what has deliberately distorted these truths throughout history. You will see how centuries of control, suppression, and selective teaching have influenced human perception and kept generations from realizing their spiritual potential. By grasping these hidden mechanisms, you will begin to understand not only the world around you, but the invisible forces that have shaped your inner world as well. Are you prepared to confront these truths, even if they challenge everything you have believed? The path of discovery continues, and the revelations are only just beginning. Throughout history, the wisdom of the Gnostics was systematically suppressed. Institutions claiming moral and spiritual authority feared that this knowledge would free individuals from obedience, rendering control impossible. The Church, in particular, often labeled these teachings as heretical, condemning the texts and their authors, sometimes going so far as to destroy entire manuscripts. This deliberate action was not just about doctrine, it was about maintaining power, shaping belief, and controlling perception. Think for a moment, how much of the truth you were taught as a child was influenced by authority, rather than discovered through personal insight? Could some of the limits you feel in your thinking and spiritual understanding be inherited from centuries of controlled knowledge? Beyond the Church, political powers and societal hierarchies also played a role. Any revelation that suggested humans possess inherent divine potential threatened centralized control. Monarchies, aristocracies, and later institutions often aligned with religious authority to ensure compliance. Even in modern times, the same dynamic exists in subtler forms. Education, media, and culture can dictate what is acceptable, steering perception and suppressing inquiry. The Gnostics' warnings remain relevant. Hidden forces continue to shape collective thought. Ask yourself, how often have you followed beliefs or habits unquestioningly, simply because they were presented as universal truth? Recognizing who or what distorts knowledge is the first step toward reclaiming the freedom the Gnostics promised. At the heart of Gnosticism lies a revelation that has been buried for centuries. Each human being carries a divine spark, a fragment of the true reality, hidden beneath the layers of the material world. This spark is your connection to the pleroma, the fullness of the divine, and it is entirely yours to recognize and cultivate. The Gnostics believed that awakening to this inner truth is the only way to escape the control of the demiurge and the archons, the forces that obscure your awareness. Some scholars interpret this not as literal beings, but as metaphors for the invisible structures and psychological patterns that dominate human behavior. The moment you recognize that your essence is not defined by the external world, but by an inner reality, you take the first step toward freedom. How would it feel to know that your decisions, your thoughts, and your life are no longer fully subject to forces outside of you? This revelation is not theoretical. It is practical. The texts emphasize self-knowledge, reflection, and awareness as tools to awaken the divine spark. The Gospel of Thomas, for instance, repeatedly states that the kingdom of God is within you, hidden yet accessible. The Gnostic path teaches that by seeking this knowledge actively, you begin to see through illusions, understand the hidden mechanisms of control, and reclaim autonomy over your life. Jonas, in his studies, highlighted that this awakening is both an intellectual and spiritual act. It requires courage, curiosity, and the willingness to question everything you have been taught. Are you ready to challenge your assumptions? To explore the reality beneath appearances, and to confront the control that has subtly guided you for years? The beauty of this forgotten revelation is that it is immediate and personal. Unlike external doctrines or imposed laws, it does not demand compliance or fear. It invites recognition. Every insight, every moment of clarity, is a step toward liberation. By engaging with this knowledge, you participate in a lineage of seekers who refuse to accept a world defined solely by appearances. What would your life look like if you truly embraced this freedom? If your choices were informed by the hidden truth, rather than the expectations of society? How would your sense of self change if you recognized that your spirit is inherently free, connected to something far greater than the visible world around you? Understanding the hidden knowledge of Gnosticism is not an abstract exercise. It has profound implications for your daily life. When you begin to recognize the forces that subtly influence your thoughts, decisions, and emotions, you gain the ability to act from awareness rather than habit. The divine spark within you, once acknowledged, empowers you to navigate challenges, relationships, and societal pressures with a sense of autonomy that most people never experience. Consider how often you have followed paths simply because they were expected, safe, or normalized, rather than aligned with your inner truth. Could these patterns be remnants of the same control the Gnostics warned about centuries ago? Even modern life is filled with archon subtle pressures that distract, mislead, or sedate your awareness. Advertising, cultural expectations, and social conformity can all act as invisible chains, steering your decisions and masking your potential. By applying Gnostic principles, you begin to see these influences clearly and reclaim your agency. Every choice becomes an opportunity to affirm your inner freedom. Every reflection, a moment to awaken your divine spark. Imagine living each day with the knowledge that you are not merely a passenger in the world, but an active participant in shaping your own destiny. What decisions might you make differently if you truly understood the hidden patterns of influence around you? The Gnostic perspective encourages constant questioning. Are the beliefs I hold genuinely mine, or have they been handed down? Are the fears that limit me authentic or imposed by unseen forces? By maintaining this awareness, you cultivate a life where freedom is not abstract, but lived in every thought, action, and intention. Jonas emphasized that the discovery of these truths is an ongoing process. It is not a destination, but a continuous awakening. Each insight strengthens your ability to resist external control and live authentically. Reflect for a moment. What would it mean for your personal relationships, career, or spiritual practice if you approached life from this awakened perspective? How would your sense of purpose change if you recognized that true power lies within you, not outside? This is the turning point where knowledge becomes liberation. Recognizing the hidden truths that the world has concealed allows you to act consciously, to reclaim your authority over your own life, and to participate in a reality where your choices reflect your authentic self. The Gnostics provide not only warnings, but also tools, insight, reflection, and self-knowledge to awaken and protect your inner freedom. How ready are you to step into this awareness? How willing are you to confront the subtle chains that may have shaped your life for decades? By engaging with these truths, you are already beginning the process of liberation. The path of Gnosticism shows us that freedom is not granted by the world, by authorities, or by circumstances. It is discovered within, through awareness and understanding of the hidden truths that shape our lives. The Gnostics revealed that each human carries a divine spark, an inner light that has the power to see beyond the illusions imposed by the demiurge, the archons, and the systems that govern perception. Recognizing this spark is the first step toward reclaiming autonomy, the first act of defiance against invisible control. Jonas emphasized that awakening to these truths is both a personal and spiritual revolution, a process that transforms the way you experience reality itself. Imagine the courage it takes to see the world clearly, to identify the hidden patterns that influence your life, and to act from your inner wisdom rather than external pressures. How liberating would it feel to realize that your spirit is free, that your choices are your own, and that your destiny is informed by insight rather than conformity? As you reflect on these revelations, remember that this journey is not solitary. By engaging with these ideas, by questioning, exploring, and sharing, you join a community of seekers committed to uncovering the hidden truths of existence. I encourage you to comment below with your thoughts. How do these insights resonate with your own experiences? Have you sensed moments of awakening, glimpses of knowledge that contradict what the world tells you? Sharing your reflections is a way of keeping alive the wisdom that has been buried for centuries, a way of honoring the Gnostic path and ensuring that these truths continue to influence the lives of those willing to see. Each comment, each engagement becomes a spark of collective awakening, a thread that strengthens the network of consciousness seeking freedom. The teachings of the Gnostics remind us that life is layered, that reality is complex, and that the power to perceive it fully lies within us. By embracing Gnosis, understanding the symbols and forces that have shaped human perception, and awakening the divine spark inside, you claim a level of freedom that few ever experience. This is not merely intellectual knowledge, it is a transformative awareness, one that changes how you live, choose, and relate to the world. How will you carry this awareness into your daily life? Which illusions will you begin to see through? And which aspects of your spirit will you nurture as you move forward? The questions do not end here. The search for hidden truths is ongoing, and each step you take opens new doors to understanding, new layers of reality to explore. Finally, if you found these revelations illuminating, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. By doing so, you are not just following content, you are participating in the preservation and continuation of knowledge that has been suppressed for centuries. You are joining a community of seekers, explorers, and awakened souls who refuse to accept the world as it appears and strive to uncover the deeper truths that lie beneath. Share your thoughts in the comments, reflect on what freedom means to you, and continue your journey of discovery. Remember, the world may present illusions, but your spark of knowledge and awareness is indestructible. Are you ready to keep searching, questioning, and awakening to the reality that has always been waiting for you?